Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. My name is Nick and today guys we're going to be jumping back down into the world of Bitcoin, talking about what's been going on most recently, what we think is going to happen next and all that wonderful stuff. If you happen to be new to the channel, why not consider subscribing, tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. If you find it useful and informative, hit the like button. I do appreciate that as well. Now in the description below there's going to be several different links that you might find interesting, things you might want to learn a little bit more about, such as the Discord server where we actually cover a lot more in the Discord than we do here on YouTube or via Twitch. So that is linked in the description below. It's a fantastic community talking crypto 24/7. You'll also find things like the Patreon services where we do AMAs twice weekly, project reviews, bits of trading, stuff like that. So if any of that's of interest, also check that out down below in the description. There's also a whole host of other things such as BitGet, Bybit, Nexo, and Ledger. So any of that's of interest to you, check it out. It really does help support the channel. Okay, let's get into this. There's a few things to kind of talk about, some updates of and whatnot. So here we have Bitcoin paired up with USDT on the hourly chart. Binance is our data source. So following on from where we were just a couple of days ago, we obviously were talking about this fifth wave low point. We hit this, we rallied up, we found our resistance, we come back down, and we were talking about this one yesterday. We came down into this range and we finished it off. Now, this could be complete here, but it's also possible that it is not complete yet. Okay, now this structure is not very clear, okay, as to what this is. Now, we have moved up and we've gone past some of these areas that we were talking about in this morning's stream via Twitch, which I'll link in the description below if you want to know a little bit more of the detail of what is going on with Bitcoin. And we've come up, we wicked above higher than these. So basically, if we are to come down, it's going to have to be an ending diagonal structure to finish this off. Basically, that means 3 down, 3 up, 3 down, 3 up, 3 more down. Okay, so if we've had 3 up here, then we're looking for 3 more down just to finish this range off, okay? Now that there would actually come in between 19,040 and 19,160, okay? That would be the kind of range that you would expect it to kind of come into, okay? So if that is the move that's going to happen, then we're going to see that pretty sharply. We're going to come back down and we'll look for that range. Alternatively, we have this big box right up here, okay? This big box is going to be our next bounce to the upside. Okay, so my expectations here are that we end up with a 3-wave move from this bottom, okay? 1, 2, and then 3, and we're going to come up into this range. Now this little slice here is interesting, and so is this slice here. Okay, so I drew these on in this morning's stream. So basically we're looking at this gap that we left behind here. Okay, so we have this one and this one. Okay, these are of interest to us, and also up here there's a lot of resistance in this range as well. Okay, so when we're looking at a 3-wave move upwards, this is the area that I think is the most likely. I think we're going to move through this gap that we left behind. We'll come back up, we'll find the resistances up here. Okay, but it wouldn't be a straight line or anything like that. Now, for the most part, this is basically 20,000 to 20,060. It's really, really small slice. Nothing too impressive, to be brutally honest with you, but it gets us kind of in that range, okay? It's possible maybe we come a little bit higher. The actual big box here comes in at 19,778 to 20,309, which would be our typical kind of wave 2 retracements, which is what is potentially on the horizon here, slightly longer term. Now, as I kind of zoom out of this, we want to kind of talk about maybe a potential head and shoulder pattern, okay? So basically, when we're looking at these kind of structures, we can kind of acknowledge what they look like. And if I do go ahead and just find the head and shoulder pattern here in TradingView, and I go ahead and just draw this in. So we have our left shoulder here. We come down to this neckline. We come up into our head here. We've moved down to this range, but possibly it'll come down a little bit lower. So we'll just leave it there for now. We'll come up and we'll kind of look to finish off this kind of right shoulder. And then we come back down, okay? And here you can see it's slightly wonky, but it's a head and shoulder pattern that will then lead us down much lower at a later stage, okay? So if they're a pattern trader, that's something that you'll probably see. I'm an Elliott wave theory kind of guy though, so you know that actually all I'm doing is tracking the waves, but these things kind of marry up to being the same thing, all depending on your lens that you're looking through. So that's ultimately what we're looking at, okay? So let's go ahead and bring in our stochastic RSI. And there's a few things here of interest to me. So the first thing we want to kind of acknowledge is that we were oversold and we're moving up now. So we've got some progression to the upside. This is actually going to support our little A wave that we just put up there. So we're looking for good progression to the upside, and I think that's kind of what you're looking at here. And of course, over on the right-hand side, I have my own indicator that I coded. This is free and available to all Patreon members. And you know, if you join us in a Discord server, I can send you the link to it, and you can add this into your charts as well. It's not actually available to search via the indicator list. You will have to obviously have the link, and so therefore it's for Patreon only. What this is showing us, though, is it's showing us multi-different time frames and the stochastic RSI. RSI output. Okay, so here you can see that we're no longer in the over sold area, right? So we're no longer oversold. We're not over. On the 4 hour, we're not over, and we're in any way. So basically, it's not overbought. It's not oversold. On the 8 hour chart here in the middle, we can see that this is oversold. Okay, so we know that we're down really low on our 4 hour chart. The daily, we're not over. And the weekly, we're not over, but the monthly, we are oversold. So when we start having a look at this at a glance, we can kind of get an idea, a bit of a picture of our price analysis across the multiple timeframes, how things are looking. If I come over to the 4 hour, you can see that we're actually moving down quite nicely. So maybe this is going to become oversold soon. Maybe we have to come back down, finish off that ending diagonal. Theoretically, it's possible. And this becomes oversold, okay? Now, if I come back to my hourly, we kind of get an idea of kind of what's going on across the timeframes. It's probably worth noting at this point that this is not your standard setup of a stochastic RSI, okay? So this RSI and my coded indicator on the right of it are looking at the stochastic RSI specifically within certain settings. So if I come into my cheeky crypto SRSI settings here for a second, if I can get my words out, we can see that we can customize all the different timeframes for this. So we can have different custom timeframes for whatever we need. And I didn't put the option in, but maybe I will add the option that you can change the style. Okay, and not what I mean, not the format of the table. What I mean is this. Let me show you. So in here we have this RSI source. This is currently set. This is not standard, right? This is a custom that I've put in there. It's basically OHLC4. Okay, this is a drop-down menu. You can choose lots of different options, but this is one that is particularly of interest to me. Okay, so by default, it's actually in a closed position, and you can see how that stochastic RSI changes depending on what one of these you set. Now, you've got open, you've got high, you've got low, you've got close, right? You've got high, low 2, you got high, low, close 3, you got etc. Right now, what I'm looking at here is open, high, low, close 4. Okay. And when we hit that, what it allows us to do is it takes into consideration your high points, your low points, the open position, and the closed position. Basically, it takes into consideration the entirety of a candle, okay? And then you can use that over 14 bars to drive out your stochastic RSI, okay? Now, this is important because when I do my analysis, I look at all the wicks. Every single wick matters. But if my stochastic RSI doesn't pay attention to wicks or ignores the wicks, then you're going to get a different reading. So just know that if you are going to use my indicator that I created here, it is using things it's using the settings that are basically taking into consideration the entirety of the candle, not just the closed position, which is the standard stochastic RSI setup, okay? So if you're going to use it, make sure you change those settings. Otherwise, you're going to get a really whole big mix of different readings, and you're not going to get the kind of right output here. Okay, so that's kind of what I've got going on. We can kind of see what's going on with the stochastic RSI across those timeframes. We're looking pretty good. We're looking for a bit of an A wave up. We're looking for a B wave down. Then we're looking to come up into our box here, finish that off, and then we can start to drop back down. And that drop to the downside, guys, will be pretty rapid. We've got a couple of options though. We've gone 5 waves down, right? So our options are actually maybe 5 waves down. Okay, so we can kind of go up in 3 and then down in 5 more. Okay, so if we take a look, grab hold of my 5-wave structure here, we'll go down to 5 waves. Okay, that kind of brings off our head and shoulder pattern, right? If we kind of have a look at that, left shoulder, head, right shoulder, neckline gets breached, you move down, right? So it's a head and shoulder pattern, or as I look to think of it, as at least a zigzag, which would be A, B, and C, like so, okay? So there's lots of things to think about, but that's kind of what my expectations are for BTC. We've kind of got some key areas to be thinking about, and essentially I do think that we are going to be moving up before we can move back down in a slightly bigger way. So do enjoy a bit of a push to the upside. I think we've got the momentum for it, but there is a big week, right? There's lots of things to be thinking about. We've got the FOMC meeting. We've kind of got the job reports from various different countries around the world. So there's lots of things that could fuel the fire to the upside, as in, really get the rocket moving. But there's also a lot of things that could hammer the price down, okay? So be a little bit cautious. Do expect volatility during the course of the week with lots of various different things happening across different countries around the world. The price is going to be incredibly volatile. This is a fantastic trading opportunity, though, if we're able to catch things at the right time. Guys, I'm going to leave the video there. If you found it useful and informative, hit the like button. I do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. Guys, until the next one, have a fantastic day.